Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Brev. Welcome to another MLB The Show 22 video. It is that time again, another featured program. This one is called Back to Old School, and I'm just going to be honest with you guys up front. I think this is probably the best featured program we've had the entire year. All three of these bosses look amazing. I'm going to be going through every card in this program, giving my opinions on them, and giving my advice as to which card I think you should take out of the final boss choice pack. This choice pack occurs at 200,000 XP, so really not too bad at all. You also get a 99 Eric Davis at 175,000 XP. Everyone's going to get this card. This card looks okay. Obviously, 82 contact versus right at this point in the year is less than ideal. Everything else is good, though. I will say, historically, people don't really like Eric Davis cards too much. He's got a really funky batting stance. And I think in general, whether it be his batting stance or his tendency, he tends to have a hard time getting around on inside pitches. But this is like a 4.5 tool player. Unfortunately, the half tool that's missing is arguably the most important hitting stat in the game, which is contact versus right. But it's a free 99, free prime card. Can't really complain. He'll be worth 10k in like a week and a half. But like I said, the boss pack occurs at 200,000 XP, so not too bad at all. If you haven't already collected the extreme rewards too, you can do that for an additional 120,000 XP, which is super clutch. Unfortunately, I already collected them in the last program, so I can't do it again. We also have another classics pack and a flashbacks and legends pack, so let's look at these cards quickly. We're starting to get henchmen that are actually pretty good. The one that stands out the most for me in this first classics pack is Ian Happ. Ian Happ cards always play extremely well, and he's 108, 115 versus right, which is awesome. He's also going to have silver defense wherever he plays, so really not a bad 95 overall card. Brandon Lau also looks really good as well. This card is an all-star demon, gets diamond defense at second base at parallel 3, and can almost get max power both sides, so pretty good for a 95 overall. Again, this is mostly just collection fodder, but those are the two best cards I think from this. This Jackie Bradley Jr. is pretty decent as well. Has reverse splits, which is pretty interesting because he bats left-handed. But yeah, probably Hap, Lau, and Jackie Bradley would be my picks from this. We've also got a Flashbacks and Legends pack, which includes Cy Young, Jim Palmer. This card is boosted a lot by his stamina stat. This is, you know, pretty average starting pitcher at this point in the year. Nothing to really get excited about. I'm disappointed he doesn't have the really slow curve and really slow changeup. Jim Palmer cards in the past have had really slow changeups, like 70 miles an hour, almost like a Marischal changeup. This card doesn't have that for some reason. I wonder if they're just changing his pitch mix moving forward. But that's kind of a bummer. Best card in this pack is probably this Joe Smith. This is a really interesting card. Not only does he have max hits per 9, great walks per 9, he's also sidearm, so a little bit of a C-check delivery. The worst part about this card is his pitch mix. Obviously, he tops out at 91. You're pretty much going to be throwing sinker slider every time, but 99 break on the slider, 92 control on it as well. This is a weird card, and your opponent's PCI is going to be really small, but you're not going to have a lot to work with sequence-wise. Really good free card, though. We have Juan Pierre as well. This is the best Juan Pierre we've gotten ever. Almost max contact both sides. Parallel a little bit, can get him over 50 or over 60 power versus right. He is what he is, you know. Most of the time he's going to be getting on base for you by drag bunting. So, but cool retro finest Juan Pierre from the Marlins. We also have a prime Justin Turner, who looks really strong as well. Just solid across the board. Not great against righties, but really good against lefties. And then Tony Perez, kind of looking like a Swanson without the defense. Also plays only third and first, so that's a bit of a bummer because those are the deepest positions in the game. Again, you only get 3 out of the 5 by completing this program, so if you want all 5, you'll have to buy the other 2. They're all going to be around quick sell value, but if I had to pick some, I would take Hap, Lau, and Jackie Bradley Jr. from this pack, and I would take Joe Smith, Juan Pierre, and Tony Perez from this pack. But again, at the end of the day, these cards are really just collection fodder. Alright, now let's get to the fun stuff. I think this is the best choice pack for bosses of any program we've had this year. All 3 of these cards are pretty much God Squad material at the moment, so let's break them down one by one. First off, we have Takashi Series Billy Wagner, max hits per 9, K per 9, outlier on the 4-seam. This is a classic end-game Billy Wagner card, as good as it gets for him. A bit easy to read on the delivery front this year. But otherwise, the stuff is extremely good. Obviously, max out hits per 9, K per 9 is good. If you have Chapman from Extreme, this card is going to give you 2 endgame lefties in the back end of your bullpen, which is amazing. But we have to discuss the typical things that happen with reliever cards in boss choice packs, and that's the fact that they just don't play very often. At best, you're looking at 2 innings every other game from this Billy Wagner card, which is just not a lot of impact. Overall, obviously, if he comes in a clutch situation, there's going to be some high leverage there, but as far as volume, he's just not going to see the field much. This is kind of a weird card to evaluate on whether you should pick in this pack, because he is in game. He's going to be a top 4 lefty for the entire year for sure, so this is as good as it gets for a left-handed reliever. But if you only have the option to take one of the 3, he's just not going to be on the field very much. But that being said, I do want to stress that this is probably the second best lefty reliever in the game, and if Chapman didn't just come out, he would be the best by far. This is an in-game lefty reliever card and definitely God Squad material. Next, we have Prime Lou Gehrig, 99 overall. Lots of interesting things going on with this card. The first one that jumps out right away is the outfield secondary positions. This card can actually play in the corner outfield if you want him to, and stock without parallels, he's going to get silver defense in the corner outfield. So given the fact that he's a left-handed bat and the kind of contact and power ratings he's rocking with, this is kind of close to home run derby Juan Soto. Obviously, he's missing a lot of power versus right, but he's making up for it in contact. But as far as like corner outfield lefty bat with, you know, pretty average defense and amazing contact and power stats, Gehrig and Soto are pretty close. Obviously, Gehrig doesn't have the active quirks because he is not an active player. But just a comparison I wanted to make, and don't sleep on Lou Gehrig playing in the outfield. Taking a look at the first base position on the whole, though, this decision is going to be pretty easy or pretty difficult for you based on how much you've been grinding this year. As far as overall first basemen go, I don't think this Lou Gehrig is number 1. We just got Donaldson, who can play third, which means you can move George Brett to first base. So that's always an option for a God Squad. We also still have Frank Thomas lingering around. So I don't think that Lou Gehrig is the best first baseman in the game, although I think if you've been struggling with the other 2, this is a wonderful option. And I did want to mention, if you haven't been grinding a ton, if you don't have live series done, if you don't have extreme done, if you don't have George Brett, this is a pretty easy choice for your first baseman, because this is by far the best first baseman that you can actually just go to the market and buy. Pretty much every other first baseman that doesn't come from extreme or collections is not necessarily on par with this Lou Gehrig. I would put Gehrig ahead of Devers for sure. I would put Gehrig ahead of Ortiz for sure. So if you've taken some months off, or if you just want to get a guy off the marketplace, and don't want to do all the grinding for the non-sellable cards that are God Squad material, this is a really good option. And I did want to stress how good he is at the plate. His hitting stats are actually slightly better than Robinson Cano, who just came out. I know Cano plays second base, but Gehrig is plus 14 power versus right, and then I think he's -1 and -3 power versus left. So that's a net positive versus Robinson Cano, who a lot of people are considering, you know, the best second baseman in the game right now. And over the years, Lou Gehrig cards have played amazing. He's absolutely a community favorite, and his cards always seem to play extremely well. So this is a really tough choice, especially with the corner outfield utility. This is a top 3 first baseman in the game for sure, and possibly number 1 if you haven't done any of the crazy grinds. And finally, we have Silver Slugger Chipper Jones, who I am very excited to see the attributes on this card. Based on the stats he put up in the year 2000, I thought he was going to get butchered with his contact versus right, but they went ahead and juiced him, and I think they juiced him perfectly. 109, 102 versus righties is a lot better than I was expecting. And then 125, 111 versus left. They also gave him exactly 75 fielding, which is great. It means he's going to keep silver defense in his secondary positions, and that is where I really think the value of this Chipper Jones card is going to come in, because he does have that shortstop secondary. I think this is the best shortstop in the game for sure. I know defense at shortstop is decently important. I typically like to have good defensive shortstops if I can, but I just think the bat makes up for it in this case, and it's absolutely worth playing Chipper Jones at short. He's just the best bat that shortstop has to offer by a lot. I'd even put him well ahead of Ernie Banks in terms of what he can do at the plate, just because of his attributes and the fact that he's a switch hitter and obviously a community favorite throughout the years. Again, like I said, silver defense at shortstop. I think this is the best shortstop in the game. This is one of the best cards in the game, if I'm being honest with you guys. And you can always throw him in left field if you wanted to as well, if you're using a cap at shortstop or you just have someone that you really love there. So this card is juiced. This card makes me think we may not get another chipper this year, which is surprising that he didn't get a retro finest or something. Same with Gehrig, but maybe they're trying to juice up the non-retro finest cards a little bit after they heard our feedback, you know, with the Griffey fiasco and stuff. But yeah, this card's insane. One of the best cards in the game. And I do have to say, in terms of value, because I do think shortstop is probably the weakest position in the game right now, shortstop and second base probably, this is going to be my choice out of the pack. I'm going to be taking Chipper Jones for sure. Not going to find a better switch hitting bat this year, aside from like maybe some weird finest card or Mickey Mantle's best card. So he's going to have a ton of value, plays 3 positions. He's going to be my shortstop moving forward. Again, I wanted to stress that all 3 of these cards are in-game God Squad material, and this is maybe the first program all year where I'm suggesting it's probably a good idea to pick up all 3 bosses if you have the stubs available. Maybe do some flipping, get some extra stubs, you know, buy the extra 2 towards the end of the program in about a week and a half. All 3 of these cards are insane. Again, the one that's maybe the odd man out is Gehrig, depending on who you already have. But if you've been struggling with a lot of the meta guys that people are using, like Brett or whatever, definitely give him a shot, because he could be a breath of fresh air and is, you know, pretty close in quality to the other cards. But my personal choice is going to be Chipper Jones out of this pack. He's going to be my shortstop. Definitely going to be picking up the other 2 though with stubs. And that's going to do it for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope it helped you make some decisions with this choice pack. Again, it's only at 200,000 XP, so really not too bad to get, even if you just play a little bit over the next 2 weeks. Really excited about all 3 of these cards. I think, you know, having amazing cards is great for the game, so excited to use all of them. Thanks for watching all the way to the end, guys. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.